Hello, I'm Richard Gisbert, and you're at The Listening Post. This week, Somalia. Have the pirates hijacked the media, too?
Somali pirates have been captured after the world's biggest ship hijacking.
The story we are not getting from the Horn of Africa. The world's best press photo, and what it takes to get it.
I mean, in some ways, I was afraid, and I think that that's conveyed into the picture.
An award for pushing Arab media freedoms, what it takes to win it. And a salute to some of the most important new voices in the world of new media, the bloggers of Iran.
Iranian blogs are the true voice of the next generation. They are nothing less than a revolution within the revolution.
Welcome back. For the tabloid media, it's a dream story. Piracy on the high seas, with 21st century pirates using mobile phones to keep them and their hostages in touch with news desks around the globe. In the waters between Yemen and Somalia, some 14 ships are being held to ransom, including one of the world's largest oil tankers, the Saudi-owned Sirius Star, as well as a Ukrainian ship, the Fina, which is loaded down with tanks, the kind they use on the battlefield. The continuing standoff between the Somali pirates, ship owners, and governments might have turned the media spotlight onto the Horn of Africa. However, little is being reported about the reasons behind Somalia's long-term descent into lawlessness, which is why piracy has turned into an industry there. Our starting point this week is Somalia, the pirates, and the media.
In this exclusive footage shot by pirates and obtained by CNN from a third party, this group doesn't look like much, but pirates off the coast of Somalia have made these sea lanes some of the most dangerous in the world.
Captain Schweib had tales to tell.
Everything is taken.
Everything's taken? What,
Yeah.
even their clothes?
Even clothes, underwear, and the money.
Their underpants?
And
taken?
yeah.
In terms of trivializing, this is about talking about Captain Pugwash. So, you know, it's talking about the 18th century pirates in the Caribbean.
The problem with the media attention dealing with Somalia right now is it's too focused on the pirates. So what starts off in most stories is a discussion of, you know, how these are not sort of swashbucklers and eye patches saying "R" all the time.
The Delight and her crew joined the supertanker Sirius Star, the largest ship ever seized by these pirates, carrying $100 million of crude oil.
Have the media fallen, hook, line, and sinker for the pirates of Somalia?
It took just 15 minutes for pirates to overpower the unarmed crew of the Sirius Star.
But as they embarked on this story, the media seemed to have left behind some of their essential equipment, research, and the all-important context.
As a little bit of research would lead you to a fascinating and completely different picture of the Somali pirates than what we're getting in the American media.
Here in Dubai, a specialist team is on alert, waiting for the pirates to make contact again.
Instead, we get an over-romanticized version of the pirates and these bad guys, and they're vaguely Islamist and they're vaguely lawless, and here they come. No, there's a real reason why they started doing this, and it shouldn't be over-romanticized either way.
You don't see the stories on both sides. You see one side of the stories, and that's really irritating as a journalist. You know the both sides of the story. What caused this problem? No one talk about it.
It's understandable. Piracy is clearly something that, for many people who haven't studied this before, it's something that's new and exciting. And people often say the first question they ask is, oh wow, has this really been going on? How is this happening in the 21st century?
Somalia has been without an effective central government since 1991. Since then, years of fighting between clans and warlords, plus famine and disease, have led to the deaths of up to 1 million people.
The entire international media seems to only be willing to talk about how this affects Western or international shipping, and not willing to talk about the situation on the ground. What we have in Somalia right now is the worst humanitarian situation in the world, and conditions are so chaotic that it allows this kind of piracy to happen.
Somalia is a difficult place to cover for the global media. The press freedom body Reporters Without Borders has warned that Somalia is in the process of becoming a forbidden area for the independent press, and calls it Africa's deadliest country. Reporting Somalia from the outside is safer and easier, but makes it harder to get the full story.
People were just tired of the stories coming out of Somalia. It's a very long war, very complicated. This faction fighting, this faction fighting, this fighting them, and nobody really fully understands what's going on. And here suddenly is a story that's easy to tell and easy to get people interested in. So there certainly is a way of looking at Somalia that's simple to get these pictures and these stories across.
Mobile phone technology is making the pirates accessible, allowing them not only to put across their point of view, but letting their hostages speak to the media as well.
They've invested the profits and upgraded their gear, now equipped with GPS, sophisticated communications, and rocket launchers.
The pirates, no problem whatsoever. Our families don't have too much to worry about at the moment, so it's all in all, we're not too badly off.
Today I was negotiating with gentlemen here another such possibility, and I'm promised it will be soon. Today, tomorrow, my crew will be yet again allowed to talk to the families.
We get a phone call. It says, hello. And this is a young Somali lad, just lovely chap, just says, yeah, what can I do for you today? The question I ask, why are you hijacking it? And the answer is, because I don't have a job. I don't have a government.
The ease with which the pirates and their hostages can be contacted was made clear when the young daughter of a British journalist got through to them on her mother's cell phone.
Mummy, please can I phone the pirates for you? Okay, I said, tossing the phone into the back of the car. They're under P for pirates.
They've used the media very effectively. You'll always see that the pirates, in most big instances, they've spoken to journalists on the telephone. And indeed, we've seen stories where the Foreign Office in the UK, for example, asked the BBC to stop a story because every time they broadcast it, the pirates were receiving too many calls and the negotiators couldn't get through.
Reporters were working the phones and the pirates were taking up airtime. But the real story, the one with context, was largely ignored.
Our biggest import and export was goats and camel. And when that stops, there's no jobs, there's no governments. They're not terrorists. There's people who stay in their homes, doesn't have anything to eat.
They always say, we're not pirates, we're here defending our seas, which are being robbed by foreigners who are stealing our fish. And this is a pretty consistent message by all the pirates.
Telling the story of its 21st century pirates hasn't quite turned the media spotlight on Somalia. Currently, that is aimed offshore, and it hasn't illuminated the needs of Somalia's people.
The biggest problem Somalia faces at the moment is a humanitarian one. I mean, the Red Cross last week put out a warning saying Somalia is facing total famine. There's something like 3 million people displaced from their homes in Somalia, about the same number of people in need of food aid. Politically, there's also this huge problem in that we've a number of different groups in Somalia, perhaps 3 main groups fighting with each other. But even within each of those groups, there are 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 factions. So you're trying to deal with many different people with competing aims. Some people are in it because they've been fighting for 15 years and they don't really know what else they can do.
And you're really not going to solve the international piracy issue by focusing attention, whether it's media attention or political attention, just on the issue of these ships at sea. What we need to do as an international community is focus on getting the country back together. That's going to take time, but until we actually solve Somalia, we're not going to solve the issue of piracy off the coast of Somalia.
Here's how our Global Village Voices see the coverage of the piracy story.
Well, the Western media and all media actually have been focusing a lot of attention on piracy. Obviously, that's at the forefront of everyone's minds. We see piracy, though, as the symptom in the sea of the illness on the land, and that illness being the lawlessness and the instability that face ordinary Somalis every day. That has resulted in a humanitarian and a human rights crisis in Somalia.
Also, in the northern part of Somalia, there is a Republic of Somaliland which broke away from the rest of Somalia. They are doing tremendously well, but the international media, of course, is not telling us the success stories in Somaliland.
Everybody complains about the media. Our Global Village Voice platform gives you the opportunity to use the media to make your views about the media known. Just email us at listeningpost@aljazeera.net and we'll find a way to get your comments on what is good or bad about the media on the air. It's time now for Listening Post News Bites. Following up on our lead item from last week, the Mumbai story turned out to be a bonanza for Indian news channels. The ratings are in, and they tripled during the 4-day-long ordeal in the country's biggest city. Analysis shows that the Times Now channel took the lion's share of the extra viewers, and News' gain turned out to be entertainment's loss, with entertainment channels seeing their numbers dwindle by 40% over the same period. There are a total of 69 news channels on the air in India, and many of them were criticized for sensationalistic and jingoistic coverage of the Mumbai attacks. The Israeli human rights group B'Tselem has released graphic video footage of a shooting at close range of Palestinians by an Israeli settler in Hebron. The footage recorded by a Palestinian shows a settler firing a handgun and wounding 2 people. Earlier this year, we reported on B'Tselem's initiative, a project called Shooting Back. The Israeli group has given out more than 100 small video cameras to Palestinians living in the West Bank to allow them to record human rights abuses. Those video recordings have been frequently used as evidence to bring legal cases against Israeli soldiers and settlers who break the law. The World Association of Newspapers has awarded this year's Gibran 20 International Award to the Egyptian journalist Ibrahim Issa. The award is awarded to a newspaper publisher or editor who has furthered the cause of freedom and independence of the press in the Arab world. Issa is the outspoken editor-in-chief of Egypt's independent daily, Al Dastour, and we've reported on his work before here at the Listening Post. He's been imprisoned twice in the last 2 years for publishing articles that suggested Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak was in bad health. The award is given in memory of journalist Gibran 20, who was assassinated in Beirut back in 2005. The New York-based Committee to Protect Journalists says there are now more online journalists in jail around the world than from any other medium. The number of imprisoned bloggers, web-based reporters, or online editors now outstrips their print industry counterparts by a factor of 2 to 1. Broadcast journalists come in third. China imprisons more journalists than any other country, and 8 out of 10 journalists jailed there work online. The military junta in Myanmar, the country formerly known as Burma, is still holding journalists arrested for their reporting of the Cyclone Nargis story earlier this year. And with more and more of the world's journalism moving online, this is a trend we can expect to continue. Still with China, the country has changed the rules for the TV coverage that it's planning to celebrate Chinese New Year. No more lip syncing. Every year, the state-run channel CCTV gets hundreds of millions of viewers for the New Year TV spectacle. However, after the embarrassment caused by that incident at the opening of the Beijing Olympics in August, when the little girl who actually sang the song was replaced by a lip-syncing, slightly cuter substitute,
the 9-year-old girl who was seen singing as the Chinese flag entered the stadium was in fact lip-syncing.
China's broadcasting regulator has ordered organizers to pick real singers. Luckily, China's new rules don't apply to Al Jazeera. We're back in sync and back after the break with a year's worth of arresting images, award winners from photojournalists.